Hello, everybody. This is Jacob Sapochnick here, and this is Sunday here, Sunday afternoon. Recording this from San Diego, and I wanted to talk quickly about the changes to the that are happening coming up in October to the Visa Bulletin and following Obama's rule and how it's going to affect people that are filing for adjustment of status, when they can file for adjustment of status. In the past 2 weeks, we're getting so many emails with questions. Can I file? Is my situation qualifies for this? So I just wanted to try to explain it in a simple way, and hopefully it will make sense. And hopefully this video will be used by people to understand this whenever there is a confusion. So let me share my screen real quick, and we'll try to go and explain. Here we go here, how that thing actually works. So it started with the announcement. So here the announcement of President Obama about let me see here, changes to the Visa Bulletin. So just put here a couple of pointers. Big changes to the October Visa Bulletin. We're gonna get into the Visa Bulletin actually, so we can see how it actually works. The big change means that there could be early filing of 45 adjustment of status for people that normally couldn't do that before. As you know, that the Visa Bulletin is actually a sort of a priority system. And so we have to wait in line to be able to actually file. And this new Visa Bulletin, October Visa Bulletin, shows a revised system, basically dual cutoff dates. And we're actually going to go in there and look at it. And so as of October, the Visa Bulletin, and I'm going to put it in here because it's recorded so you can actually go back and read it. As of October, the Visa Bulletin contains a new separate cutoff date chart for filing the application for adjustment of status 45. The cutoff dates in the filing chart are actually much later than the final action cutoff date. So, for example, if previously the final action were the only numbers that we have in the bulletin, people had to wait for years. Now we have earlier dates that people can actually use to be able to file the adjustment of status and the benefits that go with it. So, for example, in the employment base category, EB2, and we're going to go into the chart in a second. For example, China's cutoff date for filing in October is May 1st, 2014. So people that filed before that could actually now adjust their status. But the cutoff date for final action is actually January 1st, 2012. So what it means is that before the new Visa Bulletin, before we had this dual chart, people had to wait for the January 1st, 2012 date to be able to file for adjustment. But now they're going to be able to go with the earlier date, which is the May 1st, 2014. And we're actually going to see it in the chart, how that works. This is huge, effective of October 1st, because it applies both to the employment-based and to the family-based categories. We're going to see how many changes are in the family category as well. So let's see how that actually works in practice. And I'm going to use this tool to highlight some of the changes in the Visa Bulletin. So this is the Visa Bulletin. So to find the Visa Bulletin, you can go to Google and type in Visa Bulletin and the month that you're looking at. And the Visa Bulletin is a publication that is issued by the State Department every month. And these are the numbers that control how and when people can actually immigrate to the United States. So until October 1st, we only had one chart for family. This was the family category, F1, F2A, F2B, F3, F4. And we also had an employment chart. But now with the October Visa Bulletin, we have a dual system. So you have the final action dates which were the original dates. And then you have another chart that comes with it, and this is actually dates for filing family petitions, which is let me just highlight this. This is right here, and so this is what this does. It's actually allows an earlier dates for filing adjustment of status. So let's see how that actually works in practice, and we're going to start with the employment side. Let's start with the employment side. So and right now we are, let's see here, over here. So let's take an example on the employment side. So right now we're looking at the first chart, application for final action, which is the original dates. Let's look at the category EB2, and let's look at India. So let's take, for example, an engineer from India who had an application filed for perm, let's say 2008. He got the perm approved. Then he has I-140 approved as well, and his priority date is let's say it's June of 2009. Let's say, for example. So, but right now EB2 is 1st of May 2005. So that person has to wait years before his priority date can become current. So comes the new Visa Bulletin, and we're looking at a second chart, which is called dates for filing. I'm going to highlight this right here. And what it means is that when dates for filing, they have new dates that came out. And if you look at here, you can see that, just erase this. If you look at the new chart, what the new chart does is, if you look at the same EB2, we have a date of July 1st, 2011. So you remember that just now we saw May 2005 for EB2 India, which was the final action date. But now we have the filing date, which is under the new chart, which is July 1st, 2011, which means anybody that has a filing receipt before July 2011 can now, in October 1st, file for their adjustment of status, which is huge, because that Indian engineer that had a priority date of 2008, now he doesn't have to wait for the final action date of 2005. He can now file in October for adjustment of status and get a work permit and get a travel document, and he doesn't have to wait until 2005, which is the date of the final action on the case. Now they can go, and if they have a receipt before July of 1st, 2011, they can actually file for adjustment of status now. This is amazing. Let's take another example. Let's look at EB3, category EB3. So as you know, there are a lot of nurses that were, from the Philippines and other countries that were, let's take Philippines as an example, because those nurses were waiting for years, and they had an I-140 filed, let's say in early 2000, and the priority date is, let's say, 2007 or 2008. And so those nurses are waiting, and they can't file for adjustment of status. They can't get a work permit. So let's take an example of this nurse. Let's call her Maria, and she has a priority date of 2009, and right now it's 2007. Right now it's 2007, EB3, so she has several years to wait. But let's look at the final action. Let's look at the date of filing chart, which is the new chart. Right now, that same person, if you look at here, that same person, and we look at this third category in the Philippines, we are now at January 1st, 2015. What does that mean? That means that that nurse can file for her adjustment of status in October 1st, which is in a few weeks, even though her priority date of action is 2008 or 2007, and it's years away. She can now, under the new chart, as you can see here, it's January 1st, 2015, file for an adjustment, which means you can get a work permit and a travel document, and that's a huge, huge improvement, and it's going to help her and people like her to work. Now, what is another advantage of this this change? One of the other advantages is that is portability. So imagine, let's go back to the example of the engineer from India that now has a priority date before July 1st, 2011, and he can file for his adjustment of status in October. And remember, his original priority date is 2008, so he has years to go. But now he can file for an adjustment of status on October 1st. What does it mean? Well, what it means is that that person can port, let me just put it here, can port safely to another employer in 180 days if same and similar. So what does it mean? That means that under the AC 21 portability, you can look at that. Under AC 21 portability rules, if a person has a 45 filed and I went to 40 approved, and they find another job in the same or similar category, they can port without filing for another green card, without doing perm, without filing 45. They can just easily port, and that's going to be amazing, because imagine if somebody is going to file on October 2015 under the new rules. That means that on April 2016, they can port safely. This is huge. Do you understand? This is amazing, because if your priority date is now current under the new chart, for example, if you look at the new chart, you're looking at dates. You're looking at dates like, let's see, let's find the new chart. Here we go. You're looking at dates like July 1st, 2011 for India. You're looking at May 1st, 2014 for China, which means that these are not, these are very reasonable dates, and people that have been waiting forever can now file for these adjustments, and they can port, 6 months after they file those. So this is huge. So this is really how it works on the employment side, which means that if you have an original priority date, which is usually older, they call this now final action date. But now you don't have to rely just on the final action date. Now you're going to look in another chart, and it's called date for filing chart, a new chart with new dates. So for EB2, instead of waiting until May 2005, if you're EB2, you can now file if your dates are before July 1st, 2011. It's very simple. It's very powerful. Let's look at the family petitions. How does it work for families? Well, for families, there's also been changes. So we have two charts. We have one chart which is called the final action date, just like an employment date. So let's take, for example, F2A. If you're a green card holder and you marry a non-citizen, normally you have to wait several years. Let's look at now. Under the regular final action rule, we're looking at April 15, 2014. It's still, more than a year to wait if you want to sponsor your spouse. But let's look at the new chart, the date for filing. What is the same F2A does? Let's look at the same F2A. Let's highlight F2A here, and let's look at the date. Right now, the date is March 2015. This is just a few months back. Right now, I'm recording this. This is September. This is just a few months to wait almost 6 months. And so if you marry somebody who is on a tourist visa and they change their status, they can actually stay here and wait until they're able to file for adjustment of status. This is really, really powerful. And this is something that wasn't possible before. You know, these are changes that we haven't seen in 40 years. So that's one example. What if you have a F4 category for brothers and sisters, where let's look at the traditional final action. Typically, it's 2003, February 2003. The new filing chart is 2004, so it's 1 year short for brothers and sisters. Again, anything helps. These are typical, long periods that they have to wait, but it does help. Let's look at F1. F1 is this category right now. The filing action category is January 15, 2008. Under the dates of filing improvement, we're looking at May 2009, so a year off. So under the family category, it's definitely not as significant as the employment side, but it is helpful, especially for green card holders who are marrying spouses in the U.S. It looks like most of these people who are here are able to stay legally and wait for the adjustment period. So these are some of the changes that are happening. I just wanted to kind of cover that. And as you can see, these are huge changes. They're huge changes because, first of all, you don't have to wait that long. Many people are going to be able to file in October 1st. And the main thing is that people that are able to file on October 1st, they're going to be able to port to new employers 6 months after they file. The reason it's so important that I'm mentioning that is because, as you know, April is when we file for H-1B visas. And this year, the competition is going to be even more fierce. So knowing that they can port in April will allow more people to move to new employers without needing to get an H-1B visa. This is huge. And also, on the family petition side, there's a lot of improvements for spouses that are marrying on green cards, marrying a foreign national. So all in all, these are huge changes. We haven't seen them in 40 years. And we gave a few examples just to make the process simple. Remember, when you go to the Visa Bulletin, look at the two charts. So just to understand it easily, we have, just to summarize it, we have the final action chart, which is the first one, which is what we call this the old chart. And then we have the date of filing chart, which has newer dates, which makes the 45 process sooner. It's definitely much more powerful on the employment-based side, where we have a country like India, where people have to wait 2005, and now with the filing date chart, they advance to 2011. So, like I said, this is this is some very, very important changes, and hopefully this video was helpful. Was helpful to understand a little bit of what's happening in this space. I'm going to try to post some more videos, but I want just to get a quick video out just to explain it, because there's a lot of confusion out there. I didn't see too many explanations out there, just to explain it in a simple way, and hopefully this video will do its job. If you have any questions, you can always email me, jacob@h1b.biz. Put my email, jacob@h1b.biz. Actually, let me put it in caps. Jacob@h1b.biz is my direct email, and my website is www.h1b.biz. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you at our next video. So, perfect.